Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Monday, February 6th, 2023, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming GaryCon 15 event in late March, 23rd to 26th. It is, of course, a lot of fun. I've been going for a while, and ooh, Griffins and Grottos. What's that all about? Shall we talk about that later? Yeah, we're messing around with that again. It's my own little RPG heartbreaker. And let's be honest. Anything that, as Ryan Dancy says, it's like D&D, but it's not D&D, and that includes even great games like, Pathfinder. If you think it's a great game, there you go. Osric, Swords and Wizardry, Labyrinth Lord, all of the good old school rule type games. Some of them retro clones, some of them new visions of old school rules. But we're here to talk about Gary Kahn, so let's think about the man himself. 15 years. He passed in 2008, and they've been doing Gary Cons since 2009, when it started at the American Legion Hall, much like Gen Con way back in the 60s started in humble beginnings here in Lake Geneva. So did Gary Con. It moved to the Ridge, the old Interlochen, if you remember that name, over in down out Highway 50, west of town, and then moved to the Grand Geneva, which at one point was the Playboy Club, where Gen Con was for 1 year back in the late 70s, 77 or 78. I forget when it moved there, and then it moved on, of course. Gen Con moved on to University of Wisconsin at Parkside over in Kenosha, and then up to Milwaukee for a number of years, and then the late 1990s, early 2000s, right there on the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, it moved down to Indianapolis, where it resides to this day. Gary Con, of course, not a huge convention. It is a good one. It's still hovering somewhere around 3,000 attendees. I'm not sure it can hold much more than that. So I dare say it won't move, because I don't think people want it to move. I think it loses a lot if it moves away from Lake Geneva. And it loses the opportunity of being a an old school remembrance of Gary if it moves away from Lake Geneva. I mean, sure, Gen Con could do that because it grew and changed, but there's something about Gary Con that you want to keep it fundamentally a Lake Geneva convention. I floated the idea not that long ago that if they needed to expand it, they could hold it at the Ridge and at the Grand Geneva. Have two locations, one on each side of town. Now, granted, that would make it tough for people that scheduled themselves in one place and then the other back to back. You don't want to do that, but I think it would be a an interesting idea to uh, have more than one location. I mean, they've done little things like have some old school wargaming sand table stuff over at the Horticultural Hall. One year they did that, and that I think is an interesting idea. Doing that again, move the uh, move the miniatures wargaming to the Horticultural Hall. Move a large swath of the maybe the Adventures League or some other big block of dedicated events over to the Ridge, and then hold the rest at the Grand, the largest of the locations I just mentioned. And some people says, well, what are you doing? You want to move the Adventurers League away from? What are you trying to hide it or trying to? No, my thinking is that a lot of, if not the majority of, if not almost all of the Adventurers League people play primarily, if not exclusively, Adventurers League events. They don't need to run back and forth. Would it be nice for them to be able to cut out between games and slip down to the dealer hall and wander through? Sure, of course it would. But, you know, with 5 or 10 minutes, you can't do a lot of that anyway between slots. It's not like they build in an hour between game slots on Adventurers League. You really need to take a break, a 2 hour, and at that point, yeah, you can drive from one location to the other and pop in and check it out. But I don't know. These are just ideas. If you want to get bigger, the other option, of course, for Gary Con is to just become more expensive. Charge so much for the tickets to get in, and remember, they don't charge for individual events. There's a one fee. You're in, and then there's a hierarchy. Those who pay the most get to register for events the earliest. They hold back some tickets from the premier games, the games that are, with celebrities. If Tim Kask is running a game, they keep some of those tickets open for the lower echelon badges because you've got a lot of badges. We should take a look at that. Let me see if I can find that slide and put it up on the other screen and bring it to the fore. There we go. We could look at the website first. GaryCon 15 years, huh? 23rd to 26th, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. We love it. Badges are on sale now. Don't forget. If you pick up stuff, it's organized through Tabletop Events. Tabletop.events is that. We've got that on another tab here, so we'll check that out soon enough. They've got swag. This is GaryCon.com. And I'll put this link and the link for Tabletop Events into the show notes so that you can check those out at your leisure. If you want to get some swag, Fire Elemental contoured fitted dress. I don't know. My contours might not, they might challenge the seams of a garment such as that. So I don't think I'll dare that or the ruinous yoga leggings. But, get yourself a mug, get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt or any number of other things. There's the Gary Con hat. That's the trucker cap. The one I'm wearing today was sold some time back. Now I could tool through this site, but it's enough to say there's a whole section for the merchandise. There's a list of all the sponsors. Tells you about all the registrations, whether it's a badge or event submission, event registration, all of that. The guests, there's a section there on the website. Let's see how updated that is at this point. That's probably something interesting. Chris Arneson, there you go. Dave Baxter, Ed Bickford. We've got a whole slew of. I'm scanning down trying to see some of the old. Well, there we go. Mike Carr. There's an old timer. He's been around a long time. Chris Clark, he's no spring chicken. Zeb Cook, Darlene, the great map maker. Flint Dilley, Jeff Easley, gotta love him. Elmore, just a fantastic, huge list of Ed Greenwood. There's Jeff Grubb, young Alex, and there's Henry, his son now. Heidi is a guest, of course, and Luke counts as a guest of his own. Alan Hammock, Harold Johnson. I'm looking for original TSR people. Tim Kask. There you go. And obviously, there's tons more people that are included. Terry Kuntz, Diesel, and you've got other big name guests from all over the spectrum of society. But Roger E. Moore, still with us. Mike Mornard, one of the original playtesters. Errol Otis, an early artist who was instrumental in Merle Rasmussen. There you go. There you go. Lester Smith is an old TSR guy too. Ed Stark, there you go. Steve Sullivan, he's a virtual guest. I think he and Kifley might still be staying back from physical events for a little while. Jim Ward, you got to have Jim Ward, Margaret Weiss, Dave Wesley. Remember now, David Wesley, the grandfather of RPGs, his Braunstein event that he ran inspired Dave Arneson and the others up in Minnesota to begin proto RPGs, if you will. So we consider him the grandfather of role-playing games, just as we consider Gary and Dave Arneson as the fathers of that. Tom Wham, classic man, classic artist. Always got things going on here around town in Lake Geneva. Skip Williams. Hopefully I'll get to game with Tom tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Steve Winter's been around a long time doing plenty. So there you go. Great guest list. And over here on Tabletop Events, conventions, you got to sign in, set yourself up. I mean, it's the only way to register for events, so you want to do that anyway. Let's have a quick look at the important dates just to finish off the show here. Diamond ticket sales opened just a couple days ago on Saturday. This is events. They get to register for events first. They pay the most, thousands of dollars, to go to a convention. Imagine that. Platinum ticket sales will open on the 11th, and then the following week, gold ticket sales open. Astral tickets, same time. Silver, which is what the GM's badge is, goes last. We'll be signing up, registering for events on the 25th of February. There's a lot of good stuff that remains. It's a little tougher for GMs. I've suggested a few times that they let GMs cherry pick one event if they do a certain number of hours before Diamond or Platinum or Gold or anybody. Just let us who do the 18 plus hours of GMing, just let us have one event. It's not so much because there aren't other good ones. It's mostly because when you do an 18 hours of events, it's kind of half your con, half your convention. I'm not on the floor. I can't do 16, 18-hour days anymore. So if I'm at the convention for 8 hours or even 10 hours, that's kind of a lot. I think Saturday I'm there the most. But other days I have to kind of gear up. When you get old, it gets tough. So the idea is let us, because we are scheduled already from submitting events to doing so many hours. Our in between our own events time is the only place we can register for events. So why not let us pick one, just one. Anyway, the rest of the month of February is when all these badges pop, usually on Saturdays at noon Central Time, to be able to register for events. So keep that in mind, and you will know. Virtual event submissions end March 18th, which means they keep that open pretty late. Exhibitor setup March 22nd. That's that wonderful Wednesday. I believe late afternoon on Wednesday. They have a window for those early people to access their or pick up their badges. So keep that in mind if you wind up getting over there early. It's something good for you. Anyway, there you go. That's kind of an overview of some of the important dates coming up. A little discussion about GaryCon in general and some other things too. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're going to close this one down and we'll just say, hey, excellent. This has been the OK Grognard Show. Hey, if you want to check us out, the show streams live on Twitch every Monday at 10 a.m. Central. Then it's archived on YouTube. Follow the channel on Twitch. Chime in on the chat when you're here. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, like videos that you enjoy. Ring the little bell when you subscribe so you get updated when new videos are uploaded. We want to thank our Patreon supporters, Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Farndon of the NAPD and D20, Dave O'Brien of Four Quacks Games, and Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Thank you, and bye-bye.